Okay, hypothetical scenario time. Let's pretend that you are very rich. Congratulations. And you also love off-roading, you love these Jeep Wranglers, and you've thought to yourself, you know, these things are somewhat relatively inexpensive. I need a $100,000 Jeep. Stellantis have thought of that scenario and said, say no more, because this is the Jeep Wrangler for the certifiably insane and the ultra wealthy. This is the Rubicon 392 Final Edition. And this tester that I have is packed to the brim with features and extras. And after delivery, this clocks in at $108,475. Now, if you're financing that at, say, a 60-month loan at 7% interest rate, and let's just pretend that you put down 10% down, you're looking at almost a $2,000 monthly payment. So what makes this Jeep Wrangler worth a good-sized mortgage payment? And why is this worth more than 3 times the price of a base Wrangler? Let's just take a break here and think about how insane that is, because there's very few cars that can be worth more than 3 times the cost of the starting base model price. The Dodge Challenger, for example, the SXT starts at around $33,000, but with the SRT Super Stock, it could get close to $110,000 for a fully optioned one. Another example is the Corvette Stingray, where it starts at $68,300, and the upcoming Corvette Zora is expected to start at least somewhere around $200,000. So what's common between those two vehicles and this Jeep Wrangler is, at the very top spec, it is without a doubt the very best the platform could offer. At least it's the very best that the companies are willing to produce at cost and still warranty. The 392 Final Edition is the very best Wrangler ever produced. And the primary reason is the naturally aspirated 6.4-liter V8 engine. This makes a whopping 470 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. And it's capable of sending a Wrangler from 0 to 60 in about 4.5 seconds and a quarter mile in 13 seconds. And if the Declaration of Independence has an exhaust note, it would sound like this. You may not get the enjoyment of very quick 0 to 60 times all the time, but hearing the cold start of this Wrangler Rubicon 392 is an exhilarating experience you enjoy every single time you start the car. It also sounds pretty amazing when you stomp on the gas pedal. Now, you may be thinking that the 392 isn't the baddest engine that Stellantis makes. The Hellcat motor, which is a 6.2-liter supercharged V8, can make 807 horsepower. And we've seen the Dodge Demon make 840 horsepower before out of a supercharged V8 engine. Now, wouldn't a Jeep Wrangler with a supercharged V8 be the ultimate Jeep Wrangler? Absolutely. Will Jeep ever sell you one of those things? Probably not. And can the heavy-duty transfer case handle all of that torque? Don't really know. But there was someone who tried to shoehorn a Hellcat red-eye motor into a 2-door Jeep Wrangler. They tried to sell it on Bring a Trailer, but unfortunately it never sold, so it is out there somewhere, and it looks like the engine could even fit within the engine bay itself as well. Now, whether that has good reliability or not, that's a totally different story, but the 392 Rubicon is the best that Jeep will sell you right now. And this thing has other goodies that also make this the ultimate Jeep Wrangler, like the 35-inch all-terrain tires. These are KO2. They are pretty expensive tires. They cost somewhere around $500 each, but I think it is worth the cost. The all-terrain capability, it's got pretty good toughness, and the overall road noise isn't completely annoying. And then those tires are wrapped around the 17x8 beadlock wheels. They look great, and this wheel and tire combination gives the Jeep a 12.9-inch ground clearance. This also comes with a Select Track full-time 4-wheel drive system, Dana 44 front axle, Dana full floating rear axle, locking front and rear diffs, these beefy but very low profile rock sliders, which is just big enough for you to step on, skid plates for all the sensitive stuff, there's an 8,000-pound winch, a built-in air compressor, and also a fold-out table for all of your food prep. Inside, the Rubicon 392 Jeep Wrangler looks like the other JL Jeeps that you've seen since 2018. But for the 2024 model year, the interior has been upgraded to the widescreen infotainment layout that you typically see in other newer cars. Let's give this thing a start. With this infotainment screen, you get the Uconnect 5 system, so that means that you'll get built-in navigation, and it also has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And straight ahead, we have the same 7-inch digital driver display that you've seen before in these Jeeps. And then looking at the steering wheel, there's plenty of physical buttons on both spokes, and even some buttons behind the spoke right beneath the paddle shifters. The same goes for the center console for your climate controls. Very standard, non-100 grand Jeep Wrangler experience. I do like that they've added the most expensive top option. This is the Sky One Touch Power Top option, because why trouble yourself with manually removing the roof when a simple button push does the same thing? And one bonus, this thing still keeps the look of a hardtop Jeep from the outside. Now, when it comes to the driving experience, it certainly feels like a very powerful Jeep. The 392 engine is hilariously powerful. Also, it's hilariously bad at the gas pump because it is rated at 13 city, 16 highway, and 14 miles per gallon combined. Though, if you drove it like a proper madman, it's more like in the single digits. Now, I won't go too much into the off-road capability because the Wrangler is already one of the best turnkey off-roading equipment you can buy right now. Off the shelf, without any modifications, this thing is ready to tackle some serious trails because this thing has a pretty powerful engine, and with more torque, that just means better mobility. And with the 35-inch tires, higher ground clearance, also front and rear locking diffs, and the front sway bar that you could disconnect, that means that you'll have better off-road traction and you'll have better reach. If you bought this car for its intended purpose and not just taking this to go to the mall and show off to your friends, there's a good chance that you might take this thing to places where you may need that 8,000-pound winch, because with more capability, you might be taking on more risk. Meanwhile, on road, this drives just like any other Jeep Wranglers, which is not a praise because Jeep Wrangler is not a great commuting vehicle. It doesn't handle very well, the steering feedback is like a boat's rudder, and the full-time four-wheel drive makes this thing extremely fuel thirsty. But those drawbacks is a relatively small price to pay for the priceless off-roading experience that you can get out of these things. Now, are all of those features worth the price tag, worth the price of 3 base Wranglers or 2 very good Wranglers? Absolutely not. For the general public, this 392 Rubicon is a bad idea because you can get 90% of the capability from this vehicle for half the price. But for those people that need the very best of the Jeep Wrangler off the shelf, as in no modifications whatsoever, straight from the dealership, this is the most capable Jeep Wrangler you can get. And the driving experience of a naturally aspirated V8 is becoming more of a rare thing these days. And the only way to experience that in a Jeep is by buying this thing. Now, if you're not into big V8s, Jeep Wrangler also has a plug-in hybrid version of the V6, and it just happens to be the best-selling plug-in hybrid in the market right now, and you could watch that video over here. I want to thank you so much for watching all the way up to this point. My name is Hanson, and that's the 2024 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 Final Edition, and I'll see you in the next one.